What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we feature a beer of the week. This week's episode, we have a really fun one for you because we have Kenny Porter, Ryan Stegman, and Tyrell Cannon all joining our show today. They're going to be coming on to talk to Schlub, which we've had Kenny and Tyrell on before, but this time we have Stegman joining the party. They're going to be talking about the trade that is getting ready to come out in April. And this is a really fun 6-issue comic book. So before we dive into that, go ahead, Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform, any social media platform, please do us a favor. Subscribe there. You can find all of our stuff. We rolled out the new Cantina Hour, which comes infrequently right now. It's been every week, usually 8 p.m. Eastern. We usually roll it out. But the way you know that is if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you subscribe to Facebook, whatever it may be. Good discussions. And then if you want to support the show, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews. That's where you can support the show. It goes into things such as the Cantina Hour or ad-free episodes on Patreon and all of that good stuff. Like I said, I'm Matt. With me is Lauren, and my beer of the week comes from Delaware this week. It's called Secret Machine Triple Berry from Dewey Beer out of Delaware. It is a blueberry, blackberry, raspberry smoothie beer coming at 7%. I grabbed this one because my beer fridge is like nothing but stouts. I am running severely low on IPAs and beers, and I have one IPA from Benchtop, but I've been on a Benchtop kick, and so I figured why not grab this one out. And Dewey kind of makes me think of Special Officer Dewey out of the Scary Movie films, which coincidentally enough, our dentist friend Roger kind of also reminds me of that. So Lauren, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking Benchtop, actually, funny enough. I'm drinking Gong Theory. It's an IPA you sent me that is 6.5%. It says it is, excuse me, thoughtfully brewed in Norfolk, Virginia. This is very delicious. I accidentally overflowed it, but it is fantastic.
Yeah, they make really good beers. I have a Proven Theory I was going to drink, which is an IPA of theirs, but I didn't. So
I
at
like
least
that they actually have the directions.
Yeah, it's a great beer.
My beer doesn't really pair with what we're talking about. However, it's blue and pretty, so I poured it in my glass-to-mouth glass with Cad Bane, who's blue and pretty. And, you know, Cad Bane looks like somebody who might need to go to the dentist.
It does look like
I'm going to tie it in. That does look like, yeah.
It does. But yeah, normally if you're first time on the show, thanks for hanging out. We go over what we've been drinking. We go over typically what we've messed up on, looked into. We roll into some news and what we've been reading or watching. This week, we're Perfect Little Creatures. However, we do want to point out that if you head to our YouTube channel, we have our Fugitive Poems Cantina Hour is up there on there. Go check it out with Christian and James. And then also Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, the creators of Image Comics Enfield Gang Massacre, which the final order cutoff is today, March 4th. And it's going to be rolling out April 9th. The trade is 6 issues of Western pure bloody fun. Make sure you pick that up and go listen to that episode, hear all about that, because it was a fantastic episode. Really great creators. They are awesome dudes. Can't wait to have them back. Now let's roll into what I've been reading or watching. I did watch an Apple TV show that I can't talk about yet until next week. I am so excited to talk about this. Just know that I can't wait for that one. And I've been watching Supernatural, and I just saw Cain die by Dean's hand. That's where I'm at right now. Is he dead? I don't know. We'll see. But Rowena is annoying the life out of me. I cannot stand Rowena. Every time she's on screen, my skin crawls. She's just annoying.
Aww.
Can't do it. But maybe she'll grow on me. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so.
I've also read The Flash issue 6 from DC Comics. Really good issue, kind of a crisis of feelings of sorts between Linda and Wally and Barry that sets up some cool things. And then I read Spider-Punk issue 1, which kind of gives us like this cool Avengers. They've got like Miss Marvel, a take on Captain America's in it, and Hobie, of course. And that was a fun comic book. And that was all on Nerd Initiative. You can check out all of our reviews, the links in our bio. So what have you been reading or watching?
So I reviewed 3 comics for Nerd Initiative this week. One of them was Edenwood by Image Comics. This is story and art is by Tony S. Daniel. This one's been a lot of fun. I know I've mentioned it on here before, but it's like a dystopian future that's covered with like demons and witches, and the government is still around and they're like negotiating with demons. And the main character, Ryan, who's like a teenager, but he's also a demon hunter, he just found out something about his heritage that was very surprising and obviously has become conflicted. And then this last one was on issue 5 now that just ended. It ended with an ending that you're like, wait, what the frick just happened? Like, what else are we missing now? So it's a lot of fun. Tony Estaniano also does Noctera with Scott Snyder, and that's another fantastic, like, what's going on, what's actually happening. It's always fun when you think you know what's going on, but you don't really know what's going on. Another one I reviewed this week is, of course, my favorite, Wolverine. It is issue 44. This is the run I've been reading, I think, since 2020 with Benjamin Percy. This specific issue is Ben Percy and Victor Laval. It's in the middle of the Sabretooth War, and like there's so many other comics that tie into this, but you really don't need to read all of them unless you want
good.
to. Like I read the Sabretooth run before this. It basically just shows how he managed to get this team together and get all these different saber teeth. Somebody even makes a joke, like, what are these saber teeth? Like he goes around the multiverse and collects different saber teeth to go and torture Logan because he loves torturing Logan.
Weird.
You don't have to read that. You can, and you even if you don't want to read all 44 issues of Wolverine, you don't have to. It's on issue 4 of the actual Sabretooth War if you just want to jump in and get a fun Wolverine story. But Wolverine is just, I mean, he's full on Wolverine. He's devastated, his heart's broken, and he's ready to go full on berserker rage.
Well, good. I'm glad you don't have to read all of them because sometimes that can be kind of daunting for some folks. But
I
it
recommend
is been a good run.
so.
Oh yeah, it's good. Ben is a killer writer. X-Men, Wolverine, they just kind of he kills it, man. I can't really think of anybody else to take over that mantle right now. He does such a good job. But yeah, anything else you've been reading or watching?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to keep praising Ben Percy with Wolverine when not, and I was here for it. The other thing that I reviewed this week was Thrawn Alliances issue 2. So this is continuing from the books. And so if you've been following us for a while, you know that I read all 3 of the books last year and did like a review and was like, everybody should read these books. Thrawn is a fantastic character. I loved seeing his personality and his intelligence in these books. And well, if you don't really have time to read the novels, then you should definitely pick up these comics. So they did 1 comic for the first book, and this was issue 2 for the second book, and they're not done. But what's fun about issue 2, and I know I've said this before, and I need to actually go buy the actual print one and bring it to Disney and do a comparison, because this second book takes place on Batuu, which is the fictional Star Wars world that is in Disney's Hollywood Studios here in Orlando and at Disneyland out in Anaheim, California. And it goes back and forth between Thrawn and Anakin Skywalker helping each other out to Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn helping each other out. The first time Anakin just kind of looked at Padme because she was there. The second time Palpatine had sensed a disturbance in the Force. And now that Thrawn is part of the Empire, he was sent to go basically help Vader. But what I love about this is they're both so intelligent, but on very, very different levels. Like, obviously, Anakin has no emotional intelligence, but he is very instinctually intelligent. And I don't just think that's his, metachlorian count or whatever. He can also, obviously, he can see things before they happen, but he can also know, okay, if this is going to happen, this is the best way to do that. And whereas Thrawn has completely thought everything out. He's so strategic, so intelligent, and it's fun to see them work together and kind of respect each other a little bit more every time they see somebody do something that, like, I wouldn't have done that, but that was a really good idea.
It is, yeah, that's
I love
cool.
seeing them together.
I kind of wish we would have gotten some more of their relationship in some of the, other medias, and who knows, we might with Ron.
I mean, with Hayden Christensen, that would be cool.
It's true. He's been all about it, and who knows, man? I can't wait. We'll see. I haven't watched Bad Batch yet. I'll be honest. So
I did watch Bad Batch. I'm liking Bad Batch.
I like it. I just, man, I've been blowing through the Apple TV because I got a few things I got to write up for Nerd Initiative, and so I haven't gotten to it yet. But let's roll into some news real quick.
Omega's hair. I gotta say, I love that her hair's longer now. I did not like her haircut in the last 2 seasons.
Interesting.
It was like a "Can I speak to the manager" haircut on this.
It was, yeah.
So now she's got a low ponytail, and I think it also makes her look older. So I think they're showing that.
Well, it's been some time has passed. Yeah.
Yeah. That
makes sense. Well, let's roll into some news real quick. What news do you have for us?
I really do not have much news. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, March 22nd. And we mentioned
so excited for that movie.
Just a little update. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel. So they announced a date, but it's so far out. It's October 9th, 2026. So I don't even know why they're announcing it yet. But there you go.
I did see that, yeah.
Eris will release in 2025. Did you know this was happening?
I thought I heard like a rumor or something like that, but I'm not a Tron fan. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just couldn't get into the movies at all. So I probably just dismissed it.
So I watched both of the movies years ago, but I had no idea they were doing this again. And now I'm like, oh, is that? Because I thought it was odd when Disneyland was like, let's make a Tron ride.
Right.
Next to
I
Space
thought that was
Mountain.
weird too. Yeah.
So I guess that maybe that's why. But it's going to be starring Jared Leto, Evan Peters, Cameron Monaghan, Greta Lee, Gillian Anderson, and Jodie Turner-Smith. So that's a pretty decent cast.
Yeah, the cast is pretty stacked for that. I will say we could do without Jared Leto, but whatever.
Yeah, I liked him as Hatbox Ghost. I thought he did a good job there.
Yeah, because you have to actually see his stupid face, but that's neither here nor there.
And then my last piece of news, this is definitely all you. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. Oh, this is sad. Will reunite as Batman and the Joker for one final project, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. Because I did hear Mark Hamill won't record anymore without Kevin Conroy.
He's not going to know, but I think they obviously recorded the lines and everything like that long ago before Kevin Conroy passed. And so that's the last one, man. It is sad. It's bittersweet. And it's like another ending to our childhood. The animated series for Batman is my comfort show. Got me through some really tough times. And this is going to be the end of that. I haven't watched the first part yet. I'm waiting for it to come on digital. And so I can't wait to watch that. But some news that I have. So the EA Mandalorian open world game was canceled. EA just went through some massive layoffs because any Star Wars, if they pretty much make an announcement, I'm not going to believe Star Wars until it actually happens at this point. But I'm not going to go too much into that. DreamWorks announced DreamWorks World at Universal, which is going to include like a Shrek land. Trolls is going to be a part of it, which is pretty cool. I'm Shrek, man. It's Shrek and Donkey. What are you doing in my swamp? So we're going to get some of that. My daughter's obviously loves Trolls, and my son was into Trolls, so we're probably going to be pretty pumped.
Wait, is this going to be at Universal or at Epic?
I thought it said Universal.
Oh, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Universal. James Gunn dropped a new Superman Legacy update today with the chest. The Legacy portion has been dropped from the title. It is now just called Superman, which I think is going to work so much better. The suit looks, from the glimpse we got, looks freaking rad. Because today when we're recording, it is obviously Superman's birthday. So, James Gunn had to sprinkle a little bit of that happy birthday action in there for us. And then I have a couple things. So AwesomeCon is taking place Friday, March 8th at 1:30. Myself and Tony from Nerd Initiative are going to be doing a Compounding the MCU panel where we talk about kind of where the future phases of Marvel is going to go in the movies. And it's going to be taking place, like I said, 1:30 right after the con opens on Friday. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Come find us. Check our socials for the room number and make sure you're there. And then we have 2 GalaxyCon panels in Richmond on the 15th. We at 8:30 have a panel on comic books you should be reading, which Kyle Higgins is going to be joining us to do that panel, which is going to be pretty freaking awesome. I just kind of threw that out there to him and he was like, dude, I'm in, let's do it. So Kyle Higgins is going to be joining us for that panel. And then the very next night we have a Batman celebrating the history of the Dark Knight taking place. And then Megan from the Mediaverse podcast and Vigilantes podcast, she's going to be joining me actually for those to kind of help me out. And so stay tuned for our socials. We're going to be putting a lot of the video out there. My friend's going to come and video it. And so there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up. But light news day, light news week for us this week.
And it is Universal. You were right.
I was right about something for once. Yay.
Because it opens, this summer. Well, it's just everything I've been hearing lately has been epic. Like they're doing that whole How to Train Your Dragon thing, and they're doing droid videos, and people are theorizing on what's going on. There's going to be another, I think it's Fantastic Beasts area. So we're hearing a lot of that lately.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for that one because Universal is going to be opening up the Super Mario World 2 pretty soon down there. So a lot of cool things, a lot of fun things, a lot of cool panels taking place on our end as well. So make sure you subscribe to us. But we kind of went through our segments a little fast because we have a couple guests that are going to be joining us. So stay tuned. We are going to be right back with Ryan Stegman, Kenny Porter, and Tyrell Cannon from Image Comics, The Schlub. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Like I said, we have 3 fantastic heroes have joined the show. You've seen 2 of these guys before. Kenny and Tyrell were both on previous talking issue 1 with Tyrell of the Schlub, and we talked issue 2 with Kenny. Well, now Kenny was kind enough to hook it up to where we got all 3 of these amazing guys to come here and talk the Schlub, as the trade will be dropping April 23rd. 6 issues. You've heard us rave about it. It is well worth it, but don't take it from the 2 of us. We're going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth itself. So before we get started, welcome back to the show, Tyrell and Kenny. And then Ryan, welcome. First time. How's it going? Kind of introduce yourself and tell, if people have been living under a rock and they for some reason haven't seen all the amazing comics you're out there creating, go ahead and give yourself a little background.
All right. So I'm Ryan, and I draw, I've been drawing for Marvel for like 100 years now. But
you look great for your age.
The most popular stuff I've done would be Superior, Spider-Man, Venom. I've kind of done a little bit of everything. And I did Vanish at Image Comics, and then have branched out into writing here with Kenny on the Schlub.
Nice. Yeah, I know that man, you've been killing it out there. I always love seeing all the art and drawings that you post and all the comics that you wonderfully get to do. I mean, if people haven't checked out any of these three guys, I mean, gosh, it's kind of honestly feels like an all-star team in my opinion. And Tyrell and Kenny, welcome back to the show. I want to say thanks for agreeing to come back. And what's been new? Kenny, we'll start with you. Anything new been happening? How has everything been going lately?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's great to be back. Especially fun to be back with both Tyrell and Brian, too. These have been going great. Run a Superboy wrapped up. The Schlub wrapped up. Both are coming out pretty soon, close to each other, collected. I'm excited to talk about the Schlub. For people to go out and pick up the collection if they didn't pick up the issues yet. But yeah, things have been awesome, and it's been great to be able to work together with like two close friends to make this book, and it's so cool that it's finally going to be collected out on shelves in comic book stores and traditional bookstores and stuff. So I'm jazzed.
Yeah, it's amazing. Tyrell, welcome back to the show, man. How's everything been going?
Thanks for having me back. Even if I can't figure out my controls, it's been one of those days. No, things are great. I'm very excited for the Schlub trade to come out. I think that's really going to be a fun way for people to read the whole series. I've been working on my own stuff, so it's been really, really good since I finished the Schlub. I've been working on my sci-fi comic Eris, and I should have a new release of that coming very soon. So I'm kind of just digging into that, which has been really nice to sort of goof off with my own thing for a minute.
Yeah. It's I know you've been sharing a lot of artwork, a lot of commissions. You have some commissions that just recently opened up for C2E2 as well, correct?
Well, yeah, I just opened up a list for C2E2. I'll be there this year. Actually, all three of us, I believe, will be at C2E2.
I did see that, yes.
If you want to get your books signed, it would be a great show to come to. But yeah, I will be at C2E2, have a commission list open, and a bunch of other new fun stuff at the show.
Heck yeah. Are you guys doing a panel together any chance? Or are they at least going to hopefully have you guys close by, so if everybody wants to kind of just run down the aisle, they can get all signatures for the Schlub?
We are doing a panel, actually. We've got approved for a whole Schlub panel. So we're going to be doing that at C2E2, so people can come there, check it out. We talk about the Schlub, how we made it. We'll talk about that a bit today. Answer all the raving fans' questions. We'll be very excited about it. It'll be fun to be able to do that. I love that show, too, so it's great to be able to do panels and stuff there.
Unlikely we'll all be seated together, though. It'll probably be more of a Pokemon Go situation if you want to get our signature.
If you want to get
that makes it fun. It's like a scavenger hunt of, all right, I got this one, and then whenever the person gets the third and final thing, they evolve a little bit. But yeah, dudes, that's exciting. Like Chicago, first of all, is amazing. I love that city a ton. And Kenny, I know you're like, are you making it out there? That's the one con I can't, just because there's so many cons smashed in. MegaCon I went down to last month, and then the next 2 weekends are AwesomeCon and GalaxyCon Richmond. So my wife's already on me about, and not every weekend's a Comic-Con. I know. Okay. It could be. It could be. And but no,
get to go to the next one. I don't. So
that's true. Lauren's going to like Puerto Rico or something, like anniversaries, like these things that don't matter. So last time we kind of talked to you guys, I know we kind of got a little bit of how things got started. And Kenny, if I'm correct in saying, it was actually Stegman kind of is the one who got this story he kind of thought up and came to you guys about this. So Ryan, what can you tell us about how you got the Schlub going and just turning the gears in your mind?
Well, so I was going, before I did Venom, I was kind of in limbo with what I wanted to do next, and I had just done Venom Inc. at Marvel, and I had this carve out to go do creator owned stuff, and I thought that's what I was going to do, and so I came up with this story of what ended up being the Schlub, and I started working on it, and I kind of I had mapped out a few issues and done all that stuff. And then they called me and asked me Marvel was kind of offering stuff. And I was like, no, guys, I'm over here. I'm going to do this thing. And then, they called and they offered Venom, to which I still was like, kind of like, I don't think so. And then, they made me talk to Donnie on the phone, and he pitched to me what he was going to be doing. And then I was like, well, I guess this sounds pretty good. So
and they made you talk to him on the phone. They're like, I'm taking notes. It's like when you call mom for the right answer, like, oh man.
Right. So then I had this project sitting there that I really, was confident in, that I thought was a good story. And I just decided, hey, why don't I just get some friends to work on this with me? And so, Kenny and I and Tyrell talk pretty much every day. And so I just decided to ask these two to help me bring it to life. And that's how it started.
Nice.
Now, with you three working on the comic together, because I feel like a lot of times we talk to comic book creators, they're not in the same room. They're not actually collaborating in the moment together. It's I write this, send it to you, you draw this, and back and forth. So how much do you guys actually collaborate together at one time?
I mean, Kenny and I had our way of working together, and then Tyrell, we would send him the script, but Tyrell was definitely involved, in story decisions and stuff too, because we're just talking all the time. Like that's what we, as comic book artists, that's what you do. You just sit, we have kind of a group that we all chit chat while we're working. So some stuff comes up that way too. And then we also, wrote it looser so that Tyrell could make his own interpretations of everything. But yeah, I mean, the amount that we're, in each other's ears, anyway, just kind of makes it so this process of like, you don't really know, where you end and the other person begins.
Right. You never remember whose idea it was.
Yeah.
And
all
I do
the good
remember
ideas were mine.
Yeah.
Yes, that I actually had heard that, I believe.
From him when we were with him last. No, no. When we talked to Tyrell last time, it was the most collaborative effort I feel like I had heard from talking to comic book creators, because he had said that it was really a collaborative effort. So how often are you guys actually in the same room?
In person?
Yeah.
Maybe twice.
Well, Tyrell and I
How many
think
times have we all been in the same room together? 3 times?
One convention together, probably. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
not
exciting.
often. Kenny and I probably see each other more because we both live in Michigan at different shows and stuff. But, Kenny doesn't actually live close to me.
Right.
So I would say not often. But I have kind of found that the internet, like with Discord and all that stuff, I won't say the program we used to use. We were using Skype until recently.
We used Skype when we started. Don't worry.
Yeah, we used Skype and then we went to Zoom, and now we got fancy a little bit.
Yeah, StreamYard rules. But I found that I actually think that there's a little bit of a missed opportunity happening in a lot of comics right now, which is there are all these tools out there, and that things could be way more collaborative. Probably, if you think about Marvel in the, 60s and 70s and all that. Yeah, that those guys were around each other all the time. Well, you can kind of do that now with the internet. It's just that we've separated the workflow because because people were separated for a while, But now you can go back to that old method. I'm actually working on something else right now I can't really talk about, but I'm working with an artist that I'm writing something, and it's kind of crazy how symbiotic we can be with how we work because of getting on Discord and doing all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's something I think definitely helps, because I think a lot of people in their brains who aren't really too familiar with comic books, they like, oh, these guys, they have to be in the same room together to be able to do this work. Like there's one sitting on this side of the room, the other's writing on the other side, and it's like, no, that's not the case. Technology is like, Lauren and I have been doing this for 4 years, and we've been together in the same room 4 or 5 times now, and it's like you say, it's just thanks to the internet. It's a really collaborative, just hands together experience. And now diving a little bit into this comic book, you guys kind of gave us a heads up, Kenny and Tyrell, about there was these vigilante types that were just goofballs, man. And that's one of these things about this comic book is every time I thought I knew where this story was going to go and how it was going to end, you pretty much are like, nope. And you're basically the GPS telling you to take a left as you're passing by the left. And so what was that like for you guys to kind of come up with new and inventive ways to be like, well, you think we're going this way, but really we're going this way?
Yeah. Well, like Ryan said, we would pretty much just like get on the phone and he and I would talk out the whole issue beforehand. And he knew like emotionally in big beats where stuff was going to go. But the more we would talk, the more we would have, oh, but what if he did this? Or like, because he did that, now what if he does this? Because he was like, Roger's such a rich character. And like the whole setup of him always making the wrong decision, even when he thinks he's making the right one, just kept leading to like better emotional moments and funnier moments, and led to a lot of like fun world building that we didn't expect, of stuff of like Sirius's dimension in Max Terra, and all the stuff with the henchmen, like the 3 professional henchmen who show up in issue 2, who they were like, oh, these 3 are going to be in the whole book now. Like they could have their own book.
So funny.
Yeah, they're
Just
really
the
great.
one-liners and stuff. It was like, I think I would like have to pause and giggle for a second before I moved on.
And through the whole
scripting, with the health insurance one too, I forget there was something about health insurance.
Oh yeah,
like, oh my gosh.
That my doctor said I can't get 3rd-degree burns anymore, stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, we would just like get on the phone and chat, and then figure out the issue, and then I would build it out some more. We talk about it again, and then once we had it where we liked it, we give it to Tyrell, and then Tyrell would go through and be like, what if they said this, or what if we added this moment? So really it was very much like Ryan said, like those old Marvel bullpen days, because we talk so much on the phone. Like you said, it's like being in the same room, and we're completely comfortable like modifying each other's ideas or giving suggestions and stuff. So, and because we joke around all the time anyway, we have very similar senses of humor. So that helped a lot too, in terms of coming up with jokes and coming up with gags and stuff. And Tyrell's great at doing a bunch of visual gags and putting a lot of emotion into anything and everything. And he, like, as much as he does incredible with action, he does great with facial expressions and emotion. So that helped through the whole thing too.
Right, especially having a Freaky Friday situation, you need to still see that other character and not their body.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was very well done.
Yeah, I thought one of the really hard things to do, especially in a comic book, is not only write that these characters have flip-flop, because Cyrus and Roger, they swap bodies, right? And then, but Tyrell, like your artwork, to me, it's the level of detail that you throw in here, the emotion down to like the wrinkles on the skin. Almost, it's that level of detail, and you've captured the swapping perfectly. So kind of, I know we dove into a little bit like right from the get-go inside the mouth, where like, holy shit, like this, so much goodness in here. What was kind of like that for you as we dove deeper, and maybe the city was getting destroyed and the things you were throwing into the action sequences?
Yeah, I mean, what was really awesome was having some of that leeway that the guys talked about, and then I think it's really great that they were able to come back and do dialogue over, you know, kind of adapt it a little bit to whatever's happening visually. And then as I got towards the end of the book, those last 2 issues especially, I was really going like as hard as I possibly could. I really wanted them to feel big, but also like I wanted those moments where Sirius and Roger kind of have these conversations where they're sort of revealing the things that matter to them and revealing the things that they think they should do, or that they not sure if they should do, that felt really heavy, you know, not just that the action felt heavy. And so I really spent a lot of time, you know, early on in the project, and hopefully by the time we get to issues 5 and 6, it really pays off. I really tried to think a lot about how, you know, you could show these expressions on the wrong, I guess the wrong face, you know, or like the wrong body. Like, what does a superhero look like if they don't really have a familiarity with moving in super ways? And then by the time we got to that last issue, I just wanted every page to have something awesome for people to come back to again and again and catch, whether that be some goofy thing in the background or some micro sort of, you know, emotional movement of a character's hands or their face or something, or things like that. And so by the time we got to that issue and I read the script, I was just really, I was really blown away by some of the twists and turns, just like you guys were. Because like I get to have some input, but a lot of times when I get the first draft of the script, that's the first time I'm hearing where Kenny and Ryan wanted to go with it. And then I'm like, whoa, okay, all right, you know, and like, you know, so every time I would get those big twists, I wanted those twists to read big and important, you know, when those pages happen too. So, you know, in a lot of ways, it was really, you know, it was really easy and fun because I was very engaged with the story too. Like I was very excited to see what they were going to do. Like, because when we started it, I didn't know the exact ending. Like I didn't know what was going to happen with the relic and what was going to happen with their bodies. And I didn't even know the twist from issue, whatever is 4 or 5, you know, that happens at the end. I didn't see that coming either. And so for me, it was just like imagining I would feel my reaction reading it and then be like, okay, how can I portray this, you know, in the characters? You know, how can I make this reveal of Worm stepping out of the portal and saying, you know, what he says, right. and how do I make that kind of read as like this, you know, moment.
So when you guys started writing it, did you know when you started working on that first issue how it was going to end? Because I have to say that ending, I just assumed from day one that this one thing was going to happen. And again, I'm intentionally being vague because if you haven't read it, you should go read it. So did you always know that that was how it was going to wrap up at the end of 6?
I mean, I feel like we didn't decide how it was going to end until we were halfway through writing issue 6.
Oh wow!
So you were just feeling it out, basically. Like
no, I mean we had a good idea, but there were 2 directions we could go, and we chose a specific one at that time. But yeah, I mean, kind of the we'll just say kind of the thrust of the thing is that Roger is this guy that can't get out of his own way. And he always makes the wrong decision. I was just saying, Roger, yeah, I just disappeared. I don't know why it crashed. Roger, yeah. So, we basically, you want to present that was the grand statement, was he can't get out of his own way. And, that was just something that we wanted to show.
Right.
Yeah, you kind of did that, but I think almost too, like, the way you guys wrote the supporting characters was almost more impactful to Roger and the overall story. And for supporting characters, you don't really expect a lot from them, but I think, his ex-wife and kind of even to a degree, the family played an important for both Cyrus and Roger. So what was it like for you guys kind of building the supporting characters and deciding how much to have them play such an impactful role, primarily Roger's ex-wife, into the story?
You want me to take it?
No, I just don't want to talk over everybody the whole time. I feel like
okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I'll go. Let me talk about the ex-wife, and then Tyrell should talk about the henchman because he helped flesh them out quite a bit. But Sarah was always in there, and then as the story went on, it was clear that like Sarah was going to be like the moral compass and like kind of Roger's like guiding light, not with like necessarily trying to get her back, but because we didn't want it to just be like she exists just as an object of his desire. Like he would like to be better because he knows that she's a good person and her approval means a lot to him, which is why like a lot of the book isn't about him necessarily trying to win her back or anything. It is about him trying to impress her. But, we didn't want her to just be like the object of affection, just to be there. We wanted her to be her own character, has her own agency and personality, and has her own thing going on. She just keeps getting wrapped up in stuff because she used to be married to this guy.
Right.
So that was always very important from the jump.
Yeah, I liked the development of her character because it wasn't cliche. It wasn't, like you said, the object of the affection. Because I remember when we talked with Tyrell, he's like, oh, just wait till she gets, flushed out more and you see her more. So that was fun to see. And the fact that she still cared about him. Because, I mean, honestly, you're with somebody for years. Just because you're not meant to be romantically involved doesn't mean you don't care about them. You still care about people that were a big part of your life. So one unique thing that happened during this run was, this is an Image comic. And obviously one of the comics that made Image big is The Walking Dead. So you guys got to do a Walking Dead cover to celebrate the 20th anniversary of that comic. So how did that work? Did they tell you how they wanted it to look, or was it just like put Michonne in there? Like, how did that work?
I think it was like, hey, we're doing this. Do you guys want to do one? It's due in a couple weeks. I'm like, I guess so. So yeah, that was, I think, the extent of the direction. And then they said something like it has to have a Walking Dead character on it. And my favorite character, and I think everybody's favorite character, is Michonne. And I also thought that would be a good foil. She's got such a confidence and swagger. I thought that was good to juxtapose her with the other two. And you got sort of Sirius and Roger's body trying to look tough, but he's kind of corny. And then you have, Roger and Sirius's body looking kind of scared. That was a really fun cover to do. I was glad we did it, even though at the time I was like, oh my gosh, when am I gonna draw this?
They're like, you have till tomorrow. Good luck. But no, I thought like all their covers were great. All the artwork was great. I know Tyrell Ryan even got his hand in some of the variant covers and things like that. And this kind of going back to the characters too, the character, Worm is our main antagonist. And so I think something that's very hard to do is you make villains sympathetic. It's very hard to kind of do that. But you guys found a way to do so. What was it like creating this character of Worm who's going to drive the story? He's obviously the villain.
I don't know.
Is he at the end of the day? Like, is he?
Well,
It makes
Worm-
me happy that you're questioning that.
Yeah.
He has a
Worm
point.
definitely
All I'm
got
going to
screwed
say.
over. Yeah, he definitely does.
I'd be mad if I were him.
Yeah.
What? So yeah, what was it like creating him?
Well, I mean, basically The one thing that I will say is when I was making this in my first attempt, where I was trying to make it an image comic, but that I was going to do by myself, for whatever reason, I was too dumb to realize that I needed to have a villain. And so I kept running up against this thing where I was like, well, who's he fighting? And then I couldn't figure it out. But then like right when I decided I was going to ask Kenny and Tyrell, I was like, oh, I know what the villain is. And now, this makes sense to me. And so I kind of presented the idea, just the essential idea of that he was a guy who, Roger had, or Sirius had body swapped with when he was, a kid. And then from there, I mean, it was just Kenny and I came up with a name and started fleshing him out a little bit. And then Tyrell, I don't even know if we gave you much direction other than that he needed like that pack on his back.
Said I think they said he needs some magic shit, some technology magic shit.
Right. And Tyrell sent us one. I think that it took us a few iterations of Cirrus to get him right, but he sent us Worm, and it was like right away. It was just that's it. It was like one and done.
And so, being an artist yourself, were there any times that you wanted to like draw up and send over to Tyrell at all? Were you pretty much just, I'm going to focus, like, Tyrell, this is all you, man. I'm not even going to tempt myself.
Well, I wouldn't have hired Tyrell if I didn't, fully trust him.
Yeah.
So that really, I mean, that's the truth, is that I felt like I was getting to see this world for the first time, through his eyes. I think that he did some designs of Roger himself that I was like, I had already done some drawings of him. So I was like, oh no, here's what I did. And, do it a little closer to this. And then he did his own interpretation of that. But I think that's really the only art contribution I really made, other than just saying like, some BS whenever you turn something in, like, good job. What about a little bit of this, like the most annoying thing you can possibly do to an artist. And I still did it anyway.
That's great. What about a little bit more pizzazz or something? Just ridiculousness.
Tried it this way.
I don't think I ever had a note on a page or anything like after that. Like I just was like, everything was exactly as it should be.
I think I was the one with notes all the time. I'm always like obsessed, but honestly, like it can go either way when you work with somebody who can draw too, especially someone who can draw as well as Ryan. You can get somebody who tries to art direct it. But I think what Ryan did, which I'm very grateful for, was he gave me what I think most artists want, which he probably wants, which is a little bit of freedom to kind of bring yourself into it and add something to it visually, and then have that affect the story. And I think that that's where our magic came from, was that there was so much of the influence of each other on each step that it felt, very much like everybody had a little bit of a voice. And instead of it just being like Ryan demanding, do this, do that, do the other thing.
Yeah, I was kind of glad that when we went into it that I hadn't gotten down to a lot of the design work, because I feel like that could have been stifling, and I definitely would have felt like, well, I feel like I would have been overly involved then. But like I said, like I didn't have any of that stuff. So when Tyrell would send it, that's now how I see the world of the Schlub, through Tyrell's eyes.
Beautiful. I wish my own world looked as beautiful as what Tyrell gave us, because again, the level of detail, and I want to get back to that detail in a second, but going back to Worm for a second, there's obviously a lot more backstory there. And then you guys did a really good job of kind of also like I know there's more plans in your guys' head, and that's up to, how well the comic does and things like that. But the backstory, is that one of those things that you guys are interested in telling at some point, going into the whole body swap between Worm and Sirius at all?
Absolutely. For me, I mean, that's the story, is all the the main crux of the story for me is Roger's relationship with his family, and then Sirius's relationship with his family. And obviously, a father that would do what Sirius's dad did to Worm is probably an interesting character. So for me, yeah, I mean, I'd love to do more of that stuff. But Kenny doesn't want to do any more. So.
Oh, Kenny.
I told him, I was like, This sucks. I'm the worst. You shouldn't have me work. No, I would totally like. Obviously, I don't want to spoil it. Like, there is an opening. Should we continue, that would explore a ton more of that stuff and see more of that perspective. So yeah, I would totally love, because I feel like a lot of the best scenes in this book, where all of us were firing on all cylinders, were the emotional moments, like the family dinner scene, which Ryan wanted in there from the get-go. He knew it was like super important. That's a huge one. The stuff with Roger realizing, like, oh shit, Sirius's family's as bad as mine. Like when he's trying to play along and hide there, all that stuff's really good. The blind date scene was a big one that I felt like all three of us were fired on, like humor and emotional stuff to show like Roger realizing like this body isn't all cracked up to be. All those family dynamics, whether it's between Roger and his dad, or Roger and his ex-wife, or Sirius and his dad, or the people that knew Sirius beforehand, all the other characters, those I felt like were the greatest moments, and we would totally expand on that, especially from the Max Terra point of view, if we were to keep going.
I definitely want to draw more Max Terra, and all the side characters. I agree. Like the both of them have sisters too. Well, maybe more than there's the sister that talks to Roger at the end of issue 4, and then the sister in Sirius's realm, and I found those two to be very intriguing. The sisters and brothers, not just the parents, and I was so excited to. I'm still excited to see what those characters could contribute to the situations. You have the one sister who's kind of like, something's wrong with you. You're like, what's going on? And the other sister knows there's something going on and is trying to use it to their advantage. And I love all those family dynamics. That's really, fun stuff in the middle of all this, like family superhero drama stuff. I loved all that.
Right. And it makes it so.
Doesn't one of them?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I can't remember. Doesn't one of them accuse him of like being a skinwalker or something? Like that's what she thinks.
Yes.
She figured it out. Yeah. Sorry, Lauren. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Yes.
Yeah. My brother said to me maybe 2 weeks ago, he goes, "You say the meanest things in the world to me, and I can say the meanest things in the world to you, and it doesn't impact either of us in a bad way." And so you just have siblings are just a unique dynamic, no matter how you were raised or what. There's just a special connection that you can just be the worst people in the world to each other, but know that you still love each other. I mean, some of them can still be playing toxic, which we saw a little bit more of that in this comic.
My sister once said to me that she said, "See, if I wasn't so mean to you when you were a kid, you wouldn't have withdrawn into comic books and become a comic book artist."
You're like, is that? It's like, I don't like. How do you take that? Like, thanks, I guess.
I guess you're responsible for all this.
It's like anytime, just think of me and know that you wouldn't have gotten here without me. And you're like, you're right. You're right.
And now I'm paying her a percentage for some reason. I don't know how that.
She's like, that'll be 10%, and you're like, wait, what? She goes, you heard me, $20, little man.
Everybody wants to cut.
My brother takes credit for us having a beer podcast because he introduced me to Dogfish Head like a million years ago, and he drinks PBR.
Oh wow,
that's right. I take all the credit for Lauren liking Star Wars too. So you're welcome, Lauren.
Well, Disney gets a lot of that credit too, because they changed half of one of their parks to Star Wars. And I was like, well, because I live in Orlando, if I'm still going to go to this park, I might as well watch a Star Wars movie.
That's a very roundabout way to get to Star Wars. I like that.
Yeah, really.
But now I'm reading the books and the comics and we're watching the cartoons. Dang. So I'm full in now. Yeah, it happened quick. So Tyrell, one of the things we talked about you last time were all the Easter eggs and all the fun things in the background. So what were some of the most fun Easter eggs that you did plant in the later comics? Because we talked about, I think, issue 1 when we first started.
Well, some of the stuff continues to the whole thing. There's a couple animals that make their appearance throughout. In issue 6, there's a character from issue 1 that pops up in the corner of a panel. Someone who maybe we were inside their mouth. And then I tried to hide a bunch of the people from our regular chat groups names all over. Some of them got covered. You can see them on the original art, which is on my website right now. But there's like, I put like, Stegman's name in there and Kenny's name in there, of course. I put Daniel Warren Johnson in there. Sanford Green is in there. There's a bunch of different little touch points from there. Both Ryan and Sean Lee appearances by name. And then, the other thing that was fun wasn't just necessarily the hidden like people I know and stuff, the breaking of the fourth wall stuff, but finding ways in some of those bigger action scenes to have depth to the action. So maybe on the first look through, you see the punch in the foreground, but maybe on the third or fourth look through, you see what another character is doing behind that. And then you see what another character is doing in the middle of those panels. So a big thing with me when I'm working on stuff is I want people to have a reason to go back and look at it again, hopefully read it again too, but like look at it again and sort of just find maybe some more depth there. And hopefully that enhances the story. Like some of it's goofy stuff, like putting people's names in there, but other things are maybe a character's expression in the background of a shot or how they react to a character delivering a line. So there's a lot of times when the main characters are given soliloquies or having big moments where they say things. And I was always thinking about, well, what's the henchman thinking about that in the background, or what's Sarah feeling about that in the background, and trying to put that look on their face or give them some kind of a reaction that was, giving some insight into their character too in that moment.
Yeah. Many comics, it's like, dead space or white in the background. I don't think that happened in any panel.
One reviewer said there was too much art. It made him not able to read the story. I was like, I think the art's part of the story. I could be wrong.
Right. Then maybe he should pick up a regular book.
Yeah.
Sure.
What if there's no, because for me, personally, maybe it's just because my brain runs ADHD at all hours of the day, but I thought that was the beauty of it. I mean, you had the words and the story of going on.
Literally.
Then half the fun when you're reading a comic book is, all right, what can I find panel to panel? And it really even also gets you to slow down, because a lot of people just breeze through it. A lot of people just pick up a comic, they're breezing through it, but you guys give something. And I think for what really connected this comic for me was the fact that you had 6 issues, and for some people that's not a lot, but you guys really hit it all. I mean,
a lot in there.
The emotional moments, you made us care about these characters in a very short period of time. Now there's like threads. We can go to, Sirius's world. We can continue seeing what happens in Roger's life. We can see the henchmen. There's so many different ways you can go. And even at one point you're like, these heroes are awful. Like, I'm not rooting for anybody at this point.
Nobody's a good person in this.
Yeah, you're like, oh, everybody sucks. Like, I want Worm to
that's
win.
reality. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. They feel like when they feel like they suck sometimes, but they suck in a way that you understand from your regular life. You're like, I know a guy like that guy. I know a lady like that lady, and so you're kind of like your sort of engagement with them is, even though they're like Captain Skyhawk or whoever, they have something that makes them feel a little more relatable, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was issue 4. I don't remember exactly. The issue after we met the siblings, like when Matt and I, because we start every podcast, what did we read or watch this week? And, we try to give non-spoiler, just recommendation kind of things. And both of us, I was like, this is my favorite issue so far. And Matt right away was like, this is my favorite issue so far too. Because it humanized both of them and made you have like empathy for both of them. And it was the first time you really felt for them. Whereas, I mean, there's so much action and comedy and heart. And those are my favorite stories, are the ones that they hit all of it. The action, the comedy, and the heart. Yeah. Those are the best. And it's pretty.
The 6 issues that you guys had to work with, you did it. You hit
Congratulations.
You hit everything. Like, it was truly like
an
amazing achievement. Was it like easy for you guys to kind of did it feel natural then? Or is this kind of like, we have to hit these moments? Or was it just like, dude, we got ourselves a gold mine right here?
Well,
I beat myself up. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say that I personally feel like this was the ability to get everything in is all to Kenny. I haven't written that much stuff. I've written some stuff for Marvel and all that, but this was a sprawling story, and I was just throwing things at him left and right. And Kenny is great at taking those things and being like, okay, well, here's how this would work, within a story. And all the credit for that goes to him.
I stress out about anything that I do because I want to make sure every single thing is great, and that like Ryan's ideas are getting through, my ideas are getting through, Tyrell's getting a chance to shine. So if it looked effortless, awesome. But that's probably just because I always put on myself too much to just think about it. And Ryan was very gracious to let me text him constantly to be like, what if they did this? Is this good? And we could do this. And he was just like, yeah, man. Yeah, whatever.
He's like, I'm watching a movie right now. Do whatever.
Yeah, I did.
So-
I did enjoy that aspect of it, which was we would talk on the phone about it and we'd come up with ideas, and then we'd inevitably hang up and then just flurry text each other for like the next 2 hours, because like, oh wait, I should have said, and then you have it all there in the text messages. So
Well, then you can go back to it too. That's like
Mhm.
taking notes.
Yeah, and
I
share
was
some
I
work.
was drawing like it was the last comic I would ever draw. I was just like, I'm gonna make this the fucking hardest thing that has ever come across the comic scene. And so yeah, I mean, I maybe, I don't know if I was stressed. It got easier as time went on, honestly, because after a couple issues, I mean, working with these two was great, and then seeing what Mike was doing just made me feel so confident. Like Mike's colors, I was like, okay, like even on the pages that I think I didn't do great on, Mike nailed it, And so as time went on, I got braver and braver and tried bigger and newer things. And I think, it kind of felt right for how the book progressed too, for it to just kind of grow and grow and grow to this crescendo by issue 6.
Yeah, I want to reiterate, the stress was all me making sure I wasn't going to fail my friends. So that was all my own regular crazy anxieties, not any stress from working together with these guys.
Right.
God, you guys are so stressful. We're never doing this again. All those threads. Goodbye. Is there, so out of all the moments, is there a moment to you guys that was your personal favorite that you guys did in this arc?
There's two that I really love that I think they're two vastly different moments that I think are awesome. One is the one that was really fun to write when Ryan and I were talking about doing the dinner scene where Sirius just like offhandedly thanks the guy for refilling his wine, and the dad is like, "The fuck did you just say? Like, you thanking him when I paid for this?" Like, Ryan had like pitched that to me, and we worked that through and stuff. And I think that moment like really immediately is just like, "Oh shit!" Like his dad's a bad man. Like, that's like in one moment like shows you, and then the other one just because I think it's a really dumb. Great gag is the villain that Ryan and I came up with, Smorgasbord, who has like a bunch of the dumb bad powers. When he does the bit where he like has a binocular power and he looks through his eyes like this to see Sirius from far away.
Yes.
Or it's Roger coming at him and then lowers it. That to me is just a fun visual gag because I hadn't done humor in a while. Like I hadn't written comedy since like Barnstormer, so it was fun to write visual gags and stuff with these guys too, and I thought like those were two of my favorite moments. But what were your guys' favorite ones?
I mean, I got to go with the dinner scene. I mean, that was kind of the grand statement of the whole thing. I feel like that, and then showing Sirius with his father. So because that was the backbone of the story to me, those were the most important moments, and I think that they both came out really great.
The dinner scene was definitely one of the few that did stress me out quite a bit because it was like characters sitting around at the table talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't just put sparks and smoke all over this. I can't just make some guy punching. Like I have to actually.
I never would have written that for myself. I know that much.
But I'm happy with how it turned out. For me, it's maybe a little different. I like the scene where the henchmen are kind of beating up their old boss and talking about all the things they want to do with their money, and that felt cathartic for me.
Oh yeah,
it was the kind of thing that I feel like a lot of us can relate to, of just this frustration and kind of like. They're just like beating him down, like gang initiation style, And the other one is that I'm really proud of, and really just felt like this great big crescendo that when it hit is when the giant turtle castle comes to the city through the portal. I was just like so stressed about doing it justice, and I feel really awesome about that panel and that page.
Yeah,
just like. Yes, like this is now we have just upped the ante. Like it is just now it's on. That's kind of the feeling I wanted it to have, and I feel good about that.
I love that answer, and I never would have thought like, oh, I don't want to draw a table scene. Like that never crossed my mind of like, how can I make this conversation look interesting? So that was an interesting one to hear. Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, and real quick too. Also, I want to do shout out to John J. Hill and Mike Spicer for their lettering and their coloring on this, because the 5 of you went to town and all these really good moments. And I love seeing that the dinner scene is mostly everyone's favorite, or in Tyrell's the most stressful. Just because it's like a simple sequence, and then I think a lot of us can also relate to our own families, like Thanksgiving or getting together a family.
Mm-hmm.
I know, at least for me, my parents are a lot. We're just a bunch of Bostonians who are just loud, obnoxious, and just
met my mom.
My mom and Lauren. So those are really good ones. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, did I hear talk of Hollywood by chance when I was at MegaCon?
Maybe. I mean, hopefully, but I can't say much about that. There was,
That's fair.
There's been interest. I mean, these things always have kind of, possibilities outside of just the public publishing. So, if that happened, hopefully we would be able to do more. So
that would be, yeah, I want more from this universe.
I mean,
I will personally confirm that Hollywood is a place that exists. You can go.
What's a really cool Star Wars cantina actually on the strip? The Scum and Villainy, great place.
Hey, we have a Hollywood in Florida as well. You can go to Jimmy. You can go to Margaritaville.
Not everything has to revolve around Florida, okay?
Every great story, the good and the bad, starts in Florida somehow. Even the Tiger King, man, that documentary started in Florida.
Oh boy,
you're
right.
But in this day and age, people talk about superhero fatigue, which I have no fatigue. Give me all the superhero stuff.
I don't either.
But one thing, people are still loving The Boys and Invincible, and they are loving unique superhero stories, and that's what this is. I mean, because no superhero is all good and no villains all bad. So you guys
superheroes aren't going anywhere, really. I mean, there's a certain kind of film that has sort of become, maybe a little oversaturated right now, but I don't think that type of film encompasses all kinds of superhero stories. And we've had superhero stories since the beginning of time. I mean, we're going to continue to have superhero stories,
Never.
And I would say
anywhere,
and I'd say, like you guys said, like Invincible and The Boys are like good touchstones for like, if you like that sort of different take on superhero stuff and stories where you can do stuff that you can't do at DC and Marvel, like the Schlub's the perfect book for you to pick up if you haven't picked it up.
Yep.
So that's like right in that vein.
And so as we start to wrap up, we heard Kenny's kind of one-line pitch. I want to hear you guys overall. If you could you got one line, one sentence to pitch this to anybody out there. I know you guys get a whole panel to pitch this to people, but what would be your quick pitch to the casual reader that's just looking for a comic to pick up?
My quick one from the beginning was what if it's like if Michael Scott got superpowers?
Ooh, yeah.
He has a Michael Scott. Oh, that's good.
Kenny's the pitch guy, so
what if Kenny made Tyrell draw a big turtle castle and made him draw it over and over and over? That's my other pitch. Aside from that, yeah, I'd say that, like I said, it's like the Freaky Friday sort of thing meets the world of like Invincible or even One Punch Man, like for those manga fans of like the big, crazy, bombastic, weird superheroes sort of thing. So stack those on top of each other.
Yeah, and I mean, those are the good pitches. So mine doesn't have to be as good. Mine's basically, if you miss a certain kind of comic and you're hoping that comics would have that same kind of energy again, that makes you excited to look at every issue and excited to read and find out what's happening, and especially superhero comics, then this is the one for you. That we pull no punches, we have no baggage. It is just the characters on their journey, and it is a blast.
It is. It is.
Pull no punches.
Lauren, do you have anything before we start to hear wrap up here?
No, I think I'm good. Go get if you can buy all 6 issues now, but if you want to wait for the trade back, April 23rd, like they said, go to your local comic book shop.
Yeah, guys.
You pre-order through comic stores, through traditional bookstores, everywhere.
You can get the trade anywhere. No excuses.
Amazon even. You can go
you don't even
Amazon.
have to leave your house.
Okay? It could be here like the next day, not like literally the next day because it doesn't come out till April 23rd. Right. But if you're like, hey, April 22nd, I'm going to drop an order on Amazon because I've had a glass of wine and I'm feeling spicy. By all means, do so. It's. I can't tell you how in love with this comic I am, and that's not just because you guys are in front of me. Like this is one that I got to pick up from the start, and it has been such a pleasure. I know I'm selfishly wanting more, as I'm sure you guys want to tell more of these stories. So thank you guys for telling at least these 6 issues of just a really fucking good comic, man. Just thank you for that. And
There's your
as we
tagline.
wrap,
It's a really fucking good comic.
it is. It's good. And so as we wrap up, let people know where they can find you guys and any parting shots.
Well, you can find me on any of the socials at T Cannon Comics. You can also find me at C2E2 in April in Artist Alley. I don't know where yet, but somewhere, and at the Schlub panel. And then you can also find me on YouTube as well. I do streams pretty much once every week or two. And so I would love it if people could come by and check it out and visit the website, tyrellcannon.com. That's where you can find all my stuff.
Will
You
you
can
have prints at
commission
the
some
con to show?
fine.
I will have some prints. I will probably have some Schlub posters. I will have some Schlub original art. I will have probably every...
You have stickers.
I will have stickers, chibi style Schlub stickers. I will have some Schlub variants, and I will have some other cool stuff like X-Men books and things like that.
My wife loves the stickers, by the way. She put one on her work laptop.
Yes.
Those stickers are
So
awesome.
Roger.
Like I
Yeah.
saw you drop those. Those are I'm a sticker. Like I love
You were
stickers. so
gonna
those
say
things are
horror,
sick.
weren't you?
I was, but I was like, I don't want anybody to get upset that I called myself a sticker slut. But here I am. So, Kenny, Ryan, where can people find you?
You can find my stuff at portercomics.com, and then I'm on all the socials mostly as at Ken Blake Porter because most of just at Kenny Porters were taken already when I joined up. So use my middle name. It's at Ken Blake Porter. You can find me Instagram, Twitter. I refuse to call it the other thing.
Oh, we don't call it the
it's
other
gonna
Blue
be
Sky,
Twitter.
all that
Twitter.
stuff. Yeah. But yeah, you can find me all there, and I usually keep things pretty up to date on the website in terms of like new stuff that's coming out. I also put pre-order links and stuff there, so you can go there if you want to try to find your favorite place to pre-order the book as well.
Nice. Ryan, where can we find you?
My social media name on everything is just Ryan Stegman, very creative. You can find me on the Peloton, also at Ryan Stegman.
Actually, you say that, but I'm on the Peloton damn near every day myself. So
All right. Well, I'll see you on there. Add me when we get off here.
there we go.
And I will be at, I'll be at C2E2. I'll be at, I don't know. I have a whole list of conventions I'll be at, but I don't know what they are, and I let other people handle that. So I just show up at the airport when they tell me to.
They say be at the airport. You're flying out this time, and then you're going to land in some city, and there you go.
Right. And then I have 2 secret projects that I'm going to announce right now. No, I can't announce them. But some announcements coming soon. So keep your eyes peeled.
Ryan's really excited about what he's working on. I know that.
Oh, I mean, it's gonna be fire without a doubt. Especially anything you guys touch, I'm getting my hands on it, for sure, without a doubt. And my son also has been reading a lot of the Venoms you've been working on because he's 8 and into comics, and so Venom is like his life. He's got Venom Crocs, all that stuff. So that's his life right now. He's just an 8-year-old boy, just a dude being a dude reading. He's like comic books have honestly, between that and some of the Justice League Godzilla comic books out right now, he's been very interested in reading, and I gotta thank fine people like yourselves for making this stuff happen, so that way he can learn to read and we can have something to talk about. So
all right,
thank you guys hanging out. Lauren, we'll see you soon, but everybody else, make sure you subscribe, all that good fancy jazz that makes me feel like I'm 18 years old again, and we will see you next week. Catch these guys at their panel, please, by all means. And then make sure you're seeing us this week at AwesomeCon, where I will be hosting.
Just you, not me.
Just me, I know. But I will be there hosting an MCU panel. And then the following weekend, St. Patty's Day weekend, come get all in the festive spirit. And we have 2 panels. Comic books you should be reading. The Schlub's going to be highlighted. Kyle Higgins is joining that panel, believe it or not. And then, we're going to be doing a history of Batman panel that Saturday night. So come hang out. We'll see everybody there. And cheers.